Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What is up, everyone? Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NCAA edition, Week 14 picks, rivalry weekend. We are finally here. Joining, as always, co-host Reese Downing. Reese, what's going on?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good. Crazy week last week. 7 top 20 teams got defeated. The playoffs are in quite the disaster. What are your thoughts? We talked last week about maybe a potential IU making the playoffs. It looked like there was a time where that loss to Ohio State, we pretty much could have kicked them out. And then as the day unfolded, IU quickly made their way right back in.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I still think that their strength of schedule may eventually come back to bite them in the ass, just knowing what this committee's done in the past. They're going to have to, I think, winning massively against Purdue, which is likely to happen, may help out a little bit. We'll see what happens in this last week here. But unfortunately for IU, I don't trust this committee to put them in. I feel like they're going to find a way to screw IU and they're going to end up out. So we'll see what happens. But
you would really hope that that doesn't happen with the way Saturday unfolded. Like I truly felt after the Ohio State game, they were out. But as the day went on and I mean, craziness just kept happening. I feel like IU's probably pretty safe. I mean, obviously they do have to beat Purdue. I think they're like a 29-point favorite. We'll get that in a little bit, but they should have any issue beating Purdue, to be honest. So I think they should honestly be in at this point, but obviously we'll know a little bit more later tonight when the college football playoff new ranking comes out. If you paid attention a few weeks ago, I felt like I just said this last week. It's crazy that this is already coming to an end. Tomorrow is the first day without a college or NFL football game since Wednesday, September 25th. On the episode Tuesday, September 24th, I said this is the last day without football for a very long time. The day before Thanksgiving. It's crazy that we're already here. Like, I feel like that flew by.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It's very unfortunate. I mean, now, tomorrow, okay, we get no football, but there's some back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So at least we have it right back for a little bit, but it still sucks because having football on every single night, well, it was a very nice thing to just deal with.
Yeah, we even get an NFL game on Friday, so...
Yeah, and it's actually kind of weird because you used to have Thanksgiving Day did get like the Egg Bowl used to be on Thanksgiving, and now they've all kind of moved to Black Friday, which, I mean, I guess it's nice, but I do kind of miss the Thanksgiving Day college games. I think we have one this year, Tulane and someone. We'll get to that one in a little bit too. So Cosm, we've talked about Cosm a little bit on this show just because it's kind of became more and more popular. So I did a little research on this just so we could talk about it a little bit more. So it's an 87-foot by 55-foot dome that costs $80 to $90 million to build. There's an on-site restaurant and bar. Right now they're in LA and Dallas, but they have raised $250 million, and they plan on opening 50 locations by 2030. I'm actually going to show a little video here real quick for a little example for people that haven't really seen it. It looks like you're literally in the stadium. This clip I'm going to show is actually from Ann Arbor, from the Michigan, I think it was Michigan-Texas game. And as you can see, it looks like you're literally in the end zone. They're about to throw a touchdown right up in front of us. It's just a very cool setup. I mean, the screen is gigantic. It's like putting an IMAX screen right in front of your face. And then mixing that, there were some clips that came out of the Thursday night game for NFL last week with the Browns and Steelers in the snow. And it just looked awesome. Like I want to go to one of these in person and really experience it just so I can get a full effect of what it's like. But from the deals they've made with a lot of the broadcast companies and the specific angles they get to show this, I think it's one of the coolest concepts pretty much out. Because they've got to find something to get people to come and not watch from their 80-inch TVs at home. So I think it's a great concept.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's like, because as we looked at like the outside of that building is obviously bigger than just that singular room. So I'm wondering if, one, how many games are being shown at a time? Two, what's the cost to be able to book a seat to be able to do that? And three, like what kind of different angles are available? Are you only going to get the end zone experience, or is there an area where you can sit on the 50-yard line and maybe the screen's a little bit wider than what you're going to get in an end zone area, but it's not as close to the action?
So I think what I've read is that in most of the stadiums they have the deals with, or the broadcast companies have the deals with, I think they do 8 to 9 angles. So I'm guessing it's based on where they're at on the field. Probably, I'm sure when they're more towards the middle of the field, you do probably get that sideline experience. But none of the clips I've ever seen have been from that side angle. So I'm not too positive on that. But I did read that I think it was 8 to 9 angles per stadium. So I mean, it'd be cool if someone went in and just honestly just filmed the whole game so we could see what it was like. And that truly might be out on YouTube. I didn't really go in and look to see, but that might be something to check out just so we can maybe see what the other angles are.
Yeah.
Moving into some coaching news. Today, North Carolina fired head coach Mac Brown. That's just one day after announcing he was planning on returning next year.
Yeah.
They quickly said, no, Mac, sorry, you're not. Couple rumors. Andy Staples rumored that Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith could be on the North Carolina hot board. I thought that was a really interesting thing. And then there's also a report that Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck, that's one of my favorite guys always. He is rumored to be there also. Tulsa has fired, speaking of IU, Tulsa fired head coach Kevin Wilson. Assistant coach Ryan Switzer is going to be filling in as an interim head coach there. Houston head coach Willie Fritz announced a coaching change on Tuesday. Offensive coordinator Kevin Barbie has been relieved of his duties. Quarterback coach, passing game coordinator Sean Bell has been named the interim offensive coordinator and play caller. We talked last week about how all of the OWL teams had fired their coaches. One of the OWL teams hired a coach. Rice is going to go for a little bit of a more fun offense, hiring Scott Abell from Davidson. It's a shotgun triple option offense that put up a ton of yards of points in the FCS. So at least if they don't win, they're at least going to be entertaining. East Carolina is planning to promote interim coach Blake Harrell to the full-time job, pending board approval. Harrell was 4-0 as the interim coach after Mike Houston was fired. Players this weekend did begin calling for him to get the job, so the brass at East Carolina decided, why not? Let's go ahead and give him the offer and make our players happy. Brent Venables obviously had a huge win Saturday night, beating Alabama in Norman. He says he spent his Saturday night at Taco Bell in Norman with his daughters. Reese, take a wild guess how much money they spent there.
Let's say $100.
So the story came out because they spent $94 at Taco Bell.
Those are rookie league numbers. They got to bump those numbers up.
$94 at Taco Bell's. I mean, what the hell is he buying? How many? Well, I guess the question might be, how many dollars does he have? Like, I mean, the way the guy looks, I don't know. I'd be baffled by multiple, but this does bring back one image from earlier in the season, though. Anytime I think of Taco Bell, I immediately go to the Kansas State man that decided that if they lost to BYU, he would shove a beefy 5-layer burrito up his ass. So that instantly is what I think of when it comes to Taco Bell. So thankfully, we got to use that picture once again this season. Thank you, Brent Venables.
Hey, you got that live this time too.
Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers is undergoing an MRI after injuring his ankle versus Kentucky. He is expected to be cleared to play this weekend in the big game versus Texas A&M. I would like to throw out there as a Florida State fan, if he doesn't play, they should immediately be eliminated from playoff contention. Unfortunately, they're just not the same team without Quinn Ewers, so they shouldn't be allowed to play in the playoffs if he's hurt. Kentucky is benching Georgia quarterback transfer Brock Vandegrift for freshman Cutter Boley versus Louisville, Mark Stoops has announced. If that's not a Kentucky quarterback name, Cutter Boley. I like that one. So far this year, best college football teams against the spread. Arizona State, Coach Dilly, 9-2. Marshall is 9-2, and Tulane is 9-2. Minnesota with the snake oil salesman, 8-2-1. Notre Dame also following 8-2-1, and then Army at 7-2-1 as the top covering teams this year. Gonna get into a little Heisman talk here. Again, somehow Travis Hunter's odds got better this weekend. I still don't understand how. I will never understand this. Just for a little backlay here. So I'll pop this up here. So running backs in college football history with 2,000 rushing yards and 25 rushing touchdowns through 11 games. We got 3 of them. Ricky Williams, Barry Sanders, and Ashton Genty.
Pretty good company.
Kind of some elite company there. He's also rushed for 2,062 yards so far this year, which is the 4th most by any FBS player over the last 25 seasons through the first 11 games. If we look there, he's fourth behind LaDainian Tomlinson, Melvin Gordon, and Andre Williams. I know some people don't remember Andre Williams, but he was an absolute goddamn beast at Boston College. I can tell you that. And then even right behind him, Matt Forte, Detroit Lion draft pick, Kevin Smith, Tevin Coleman's down there. I mean, Jonathan Taylor. Like, this is elite company he's with. Like, I don't know. I truly don't get the media hype behind Travis Hunter and the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a perspective of what happened last week, he finished with 8 catches for 125 and 2 touchdowns, and then had 7 tackles and almost had a pick, which almost doesn't count, obviously, but he was a bright spot for Colorado in the game last week, but they still lost. I think it may be a little bit closer if Chauncey was out for a little bit in the game last week, right?
Well, he was hurt, and then they were losing, and he came back in and let him right down. He rushed like 50 of the 70 yards on the drive to take a touchdown and take the lead.
Yeah. Trust me. I mean, like, I'm a huge fan of Ashton. So I'm with you on it. If you separate this, like we talked about last week, he's not the best receiver in the league, and he's not the best corner in the league. So.
Oh, and Dion was pissed today. They announced the finalists. I can't even think of what the hell the award is now. The Thorpe. No, I can't remember what the award is for best corner. And he was not one of the 3 finalists. And Dion told him he could have his because he was done with the award now. So some more stats for Ashton Jeanty as we keep going here. So entering the final week of the regular season, he leads the FBS in rushing by 570 yards. Next closest is Caleb Johnson from Iowa with 1,492. 570-yard lead. That's a little much. Omarion Hampton's a great running back too. I mean, RJ Harvey's been having a great year. Like a quarter of their yards. He's 25% better in every aspect. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. One final one I'm going to show here. Longest runs this season, 30-plus yards, 14, 40-plus yards, 10, 50-plus yards, 9, 60-plus yards, 8, 70 yards, 4 times. First in every single one of those categories. The 60-plus yard when he's done 8 times is most by any player since 2017. Again, like, what are we doing here? How is this even – I don't understand how this is even a race. And the odds, Travis Hunter's a minus 1,000 favorite.
Yeah, like he's at like 88% odds right now to win the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, minus 1,000. That's basically his. Like, I don't know. It will not make sense to me, and I'm hoping maybe we get some sort of. I mean, I don't think we will, but some sort of change in the next few weeks. But it just doesn't seem right to me. And Colorado is not even. I mean, with that loss last week, they're pretty much not even in the conference. I mean, they do have an outside shot at the conference championship now, but
everyone does.
Everyone does in that conference. It's going to take a lot of work still. One of our favorite things to talk about on this show is how terrible the referees are. We have 3 that we're going to play from last week. The first one I'm going to play, I have no idea how this is called, and I'm going to let the audio from the video kind of explain it, because you have to see when this ref throws this flag. This is honestly what makes it worse. On top of it, Ryan Williams, freshman from Alabama, one of the best receivers in the nation, actually one of the best receivers in the nation overall, period, makes one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. And it gets completely thrown out. And actually, Bama with this touchdown would have still been in the game. This was a big swing point in the game. But just listen to this breakdown and what they say. How the hell this is called, I'll never know. And just so you know, as we go into this, this was called an illegal touch for illegal formation.
It's an incorrect call. Well, it's a huge one because of a touchdown.
That is truly one of the worst calls I've ever seen. Like, I don't get it. I don't know how you can call how you can throw that flag at that point anyway. probably he saw he was going to make a touchdown. That ref, there's got to be, they are doing an investigation into that. They've actually already said that ref should never ref another game ever. That was, you cannot throw that flag at that point. And the formation was as legal as it could have possibly been.
Yeah.
I don't, it was so bad. That would have put Bama down 14. So 2-possession game, but there was still 14 minutes left. It was just the beginning of the fourth quarter. Plenty of time left. Now, that game got out of hand because Milroe threw back-to-back picks, but momentum's a real thing. I mean, who knows what would have happened had that not have been a touchdown. Next, we were just talking about Colorado a little bit. We've got 2 things for Shedeur here. The first one's going to be a hit. And again, this video is not going to show this, but the refs threw a flag on this play and then decided, nah, we're going to pick this flag up.
It's Dean Miller.
Oh, and he is going right to the knee.
How is that not a flag? How do you pick that up?
That's roughing the passer.
Yes.
And Shedeur is so lucky. That back foot, I'm going to play it one more time. Watch his back foot. It's almost, it comes off the ground like the instant he hits his front leg. If that was still planted, he's probably out and would have missed the beginning of the NFL season next year, to be honest.
At a minimum, that is
if that was planted, that would not have been good. Watch it one more time and watch how close that back leg is.
It's Dean Miller.
Oh, and he is going right to the knee.
If that foot would have been planted or Miller would have came in just a little bit higher, because if he would have came in a little bit higher, his momentum would have driven Sanders' leg down back into the ground, and that would have,
that was a dangerous hit. And for the fact that they picked the flag up, like they didn't. The fact they threw a flag and then they were like, no, that was good. So this is going to be Shedeur kind of on the other side here. He blatantly shoves the head referee here and doesn't get ejected here either.
There's a scrum here post-play, and it appears Mike Pereira, Shedeur Sanders pushes our referee, Kevin Marr. Mike?
Yeah, there's no question that he does. Look, I get why he's upset because people are almost climbing over him after he was down. But, you know, the officials can use their hands all they want to try to keep order, but you cannot come back as a player and push an official. In the chaos, the officials don't see it, but he's lucky that he wasn't ejected from the game.
Yeah, I don't know how he wasn't ejected there. And if you watch it again, there's actually a ref on the backside of it that's looking right at it when he shoves him. So I'm honestly shocked he didn't get ejected there. But it's our favorite weekly segment is how shitty a referees. Like it just makes no sense how none of that could have been. All 3 of those were god awful. Like normally we focus on like 1 a week. This week we needed 3, and I'm sure it's probably only going to get worse as it goes on. So getting on to the next thing, conference championship scenarios. Some of these are going to be all over the place. We are going to start with the Big Ten. It's a much more simpler situation that we have going on here. Oregon has already clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship. Basically, all we need, Ohio State beats Michigan, they're in. We got Ohio State, Oregon. If Ohio State were to lose and Penn State were to win, it's Oregon, Penn State. And IU is going to need a lot of help. IU is going to need to beat Purdue, and then they're going to need Penn State to lose to Maryland and Ohio State to lose to Michigan. So kind of, I think Ohio State was a 20-some point favorite this week, so we would probably have to anticipate that it's going to be Ohio State, Michigan, or Ohio State, Oregon, as we've anticipated pretty much all season. But the way this college football season has gone, I guess you never truly know. In the Mountain West, Colorado State did lose to Fresno State last week, which means that UNLV is now going to go to the Mountain West Championship game and face Boise State if it beats Nevada this week. UNLV is a decent favorite this week. They do hold the tiebreaker over Colorado State. They did not play each other, but they are higher ranked in the college football playoff ranking right now. So that is how UNLV will get in. The SEC is very simple. Georgia is going to play the winner of Texas A&M. So easy enough on that one. And the ACC, SMU is locked in, and they will face Miami as long as Miami beats Syracuse. If Miami does not beat Syracuse, it will be SMU Clemson. What would be an interesting twist, Miami out of the playoff. And road game at Syracuse this time of year is probably not exactly what Miami wants. So
yeah, I was going to say that Miami Syracuse game is not a lock by any
Mm-mm.
stretch of the imagination. If Clemson loses to South Carolina, and
Doesn't matter. It's not a
Miami
conference
also
game.
loses, okay, all right, yeah,
Yeah, because South Carolina is not a conference game.
fair.
So
yeah.
Clemson is already in it with a Miami loss. Big 12, this is where the fun's going to begin. I'm going to pull up another graphic. I will try to make sense of this. Just know that this is only like a third of it. There's like 1,000 teams that can still make the Big 12 championship. So just for a little bit of thing here. So if two teams are tied at 7-2, the two teams that are tied will be the championship game participants. If there's a 3-team tie, if Colorado is the one that loses, then it's going to be Arizona State versus Iowa State. If Arizona State is the one that loses, it will be Iowa State versus BYU. Iowa State's the one that loses, it'll be Arizona State versus BYU. BYU loses, things get real interesting. Then we've got Texas Tech defeating West Virginia. Then if Baylor beats Kansas and Cincinnati beats TCU, it'll be Colorado versus Iowa State. So I just said it's going to kind of take a lot for Colorado to get in. That's what it's going to take for Colorado to get in. So we're all over the place in the Big 12. I don't even know what to predict is what we're going to see. I would probably assume I don't know. I truly don't know what to even guess is what the hell we're going to see right now. I know what I want to see. What I want to see is Arizona State, Iowa State, but I don't know if that's what we're going to get. It's all over the place. So
What's crazy is that you look at all those teams that are on those lists, like we weren't really talking about them too much at the beginning of the year. We were talking more Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you got to think. So we had Oklahoma State, which we said always shits the bed. They did in the worst way imaginable. We never could have dreamed they were going to shit the bed like they did. Like they're awful. We haven't even said Ollie Gordon's name since like week 3. Like which is crazy to think. Utah going from Big 12 or Pac-12 to Big 12. We thought, okay, first season, I think they actually were the favorite to win the conference at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So Utah is not the Pac-12 team that we're going to be seeing. It's probably going to be Arizona State. So, yeah, crazy. I mean, we said at the beginning of the year, buckle up in the Big 12. It's going to be crazy, and it has not let us down whatsoever.
Yeah, so I'm looking at odds right now. This is just interesting. So preseason championship odds: Utah was 1 at plus 310, Kansas State 2 plus 380, Oklahoma State 3 plus 850, UCF 4 plus 850, Kansas 5 plus 950, Iowa State next at plus 1,000, Texas Tech plus 1,400, Arizona plus 1,400, West Virginia plus 1,600, TCU plus 2,000. You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the list. BYU was a $14,000 odd to start the season. If you threw $100,
what was Arizona State?
Arizona State was the second to last. They were at plus 12,000.
Jesus Christ!
The over under for wins on both of those teams was 4.5.
That's crazy. I'd like to go back and listen to our Big 12 preview because I know Arizona State. I actually wasn't down on. Like, they're a team I've always been kind of high on because I like Dillingham, but the fact that those are, I wonder how many people have those odds. Can you imagine a BYU Arizona State future ticket for conference championship matchup? That'd probably be like $1 million ticket. It's crazy. Going into last week, we got the top 25 results. So last week, UNLV had 27, San Jose State 16. Indiana lost to Ohio State 15-38. Kentucky lost to Texas 14-31. Penn State beat Minnesota. Man, that was a close game. Penn State, James Franklin showed some balls at the end with a fake punt that was huge. 26-25, Penn State won at Minnesota. Army just got absolutely obliterated, 14, Notre Dame 49. We just talked about Bama, Oklahoma. Oklahoma won 24-3. Miami beat Wake Forest 42-14. And one of the upsets, which kind of wasn't that surprising to us because we said DJ Lagway was playing. They're a much different team when Lagway plays. Florida beat Ole Miss 24-17, where Jackson Dart, I felt in the final 3 minutes of the game, threw 45 interceptions, just kept throwing them back to back to back. Georgia beat UMass 59-21. UMass at one point, like, I think it was even after halftime, was somewhat like close close for UMass. That game was way closer than it ever should have been. Tennessee absolutely blanked UTEP 56-0. Boise State beat Wyoming 17-13. SMU beat Virginia 33-7. Arizona State, BYU, Arizona State 28, BYU 23, and one of the craziest endings ever. Dillingham went with quite the bold strategy to try to run the clock out. Ended up getting the field stormed. There was still 1 second on the clock, so we got to take people back off the field for a Hail Mary attempt. BYU caught the Hail Mary attempt, but they caught it at the 3-yard line and couldn't get in. Storm field again. So it was a crazy situation. I thought
Stop storming the fucking field. It's a regular season game, dude. Like,
I know.
It's Appalachian State beating Michigan. Storm the fucking field. By all means, go for it.
Yeah.
You're playing a conference opponent. Like, sit your ass down. It's so dumb to me. And then you look at, I don't know if this was before the game was over or the second time that they stormed the field, but there was like, they had to protect like some dudes from BYU from some of the Arizona State like frat dudes that were standing there screaming and like trying to get at the players. Like, it's out of control, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to end, but
no, I know it's not. It's just like, I understand the scenario. It's a bunch of mostly 20 something. It's annoying. Like, stop storming the fucking field.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm not against it. I mean, all you can do is, I just wish that, and again, fans aren't going to ever know this, but know the situation. Like, we should never have to clear a field to play the rest of a game. That's the problem. But again, these people, no one's really paying that much attention to actually what's going on. They just want to storm the field. Texas A&M lost to Auburn 43-41 in overtime. This was one of the first games where we got to get it decided by the back-to-back alternating 2-point conversion plays. A&M possibly losing a playoff berth because of back-to-back 2-point conversion plays is a little ridiculous to me. An A&M receiver, they had it right in his hands. He just dropped it. So it's pretty heartbreaking. Kansas, in my opinion, absolutely crushed Colorado 37-21. They ran the ball all over them. Clemson beat the Citadel 51-14. South Carolina beat Wofford 56-12. Iowa State beat Utah 31-28. Missouri beat Mississippi State 39-20. Illinois beat Rutgers 38-31. And again, coaching at the end of games, I don't understand it. Illinois was going to attempt it was a long ass field goal. I don't know the exact distance. It was probably like 50. It was more than probably like 55 to 60 yard field goal. They had showed during the winds the whole game. It was windy as hell in New Jersey. He was never hitting this kick. Schiano calls timeout. Illinois says, all right, we're going to go for it. They end up throwing a ball, and the Rutgers defense, you would have thought like a video game glitched the way they just went away from the guy that caught the ball, and they won the game at the end on that. So again, wonderful coaching decisions at the end of games. I always love those. So that does wrap up the top 25 results from last week. It is now time to get into our picks for this week. Or actually, no, sorry. Before we get into picks for this week, we are going to go to what the current AP poll projection for the playoff will be. Unfortunately, the playoff is not out yet tonight, so we're going to go by AP projection, which every week so far has matched this exactly. So hopefully we get the same tonight. So currently, right now, according to the AP rankings, Oregon would still be the number 1 seed. Texas would be the 2. Miami would be the 3. Boise would be the 4. The last conference champion right now is projected to be Arizona State, which would be the 12 seed. Matchups for this week. There's some things I don't like about this. Tennessee would be on the road at Georgia, and Penn State would be IU would be on the road at Penn State. I don't want conference games to start like what I don't think this should be something. We shouldn't have conference games starting the first round. I do love the idea of SMU going to Notre Dame. I think that would be an awesome game. And I would like to see Arizona State not play Ohio State in the first round, but there's part of me that actually does want to see that because I think they could beat them. So some fun first round matchups, setting up for what could possibly be that bracket. Still, where the Miami side of the bracket to me is always still the weakest. I know people will look at it and think the Boise one will be like, I can see Ohio State fans saying, yes, please give me Arizona State at home and then let me play Boise on a neutral site. I get that. But that side of the bracket with Miami, Penn State, IU, like if I'm Notre Dame and I see that, as a 7 seed when I'm playing SMU in the first round, Notre Dame fans would have to be the happiest people on earth with that bracket, in my opinion. Reese, do you have any thoughts on this current projection?
I mean, right now, Oregon looks like they have the toughest road, and they're the 1 seed right now. So that's a little crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the matchup with Ohio State and Arizona State. I don't think that's a shoe-in for Ohio State. To your point, I am with you. Like, I don't want to see conference games happening in the playoff. And part of the way to do this is to stop putting so many damn teams from each one of these conferences in. They've got to find a way to make that work. But yeah, I mean, the right now, the first round games, the one that looks most exciting to me is going to be Ohio State, Arizona State, and then Notre Dame, SMU. I'm not at all interested to watching Tennessee, Georgia. Penn State, IU would be fun only because that will give IU the opportunity to be able to kind of bounce back from their loss against Ohio State and prove that they can play with the bigger teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a fun game. I just split it up. Like, give me IU at Georgia and give me Tennessee at Penn State or something like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just want it switched. But I'm with you, Oregon. If I'm Oregon and my path to the national championship is Georgia and then Ohio State, I'm pretty pissed off. I'm like when it could be, let's see, we'll say Notre Dame, for example. Notre Dame could play SMU, Texas, which I still am not that big on Texas this year. And then, I mean, Miami or Penn State, like, I don't, to me, that side of the bracket is easy. Like, I would love to be on that side of the bracket. Actually, if you flipped IU and Arizona State here and put Arizona State over as the 11, they legitimately could go to the national championship. Like, I think they could win all of those games. Like, I don't know. That right side is much tougher than that left side. So hopefully, and I know it's not something that they're going to try to do. Like, all the reports have said, they don't care about what conference is what. They will put first round matchups against each other. I don't like the look of this. I don't like the way that it shouldn't be a Big Ten and SEC. I don't like that.
Well, if this is how it ends up, I'm hoping for horse team versus horse team. I want Boise State,
and SMU.
Boise State, SMU in the national championship.
That would be awesome. I just want to see Boise and Arizona State in the second round. Give me that. I'm content with that.
For sure.
All right, so now we will get into our Week 14 picks. We are going to kick it off Thursday night, Thanksgiving night. Memphis is going on the road to number 18 Tulane. Tulane's a 14.5-point favorite at Yulman Stadium in New Orleans, Louisiana. 56.5 over/under Thursday at 7:30 on ESPN.
Yeah, Tulane's been on a roll this season against the spread. They've covered 4 straight, but the last 3 in this matchup have been decided by 10 or less. I think the streak breaks here, though. I'm going to go Green Wave to win and cover.
I am on Tulane also. I just think they're playing too good right now. Still hanging on to that little bit of hope for an outside shot at the playoff too. So I think that will keep them alive and they'll play well. Memphis has been all over the place this year. At least we'll have another thing to watch Thursday night. I know we got an NFL game, so we'll at least have 2 games Thanksgiving night. We're going to go Friday, Black Friday at noon. Oregon State is going on the road to play number 11 Boise State. Boise State's a 20.5-point favorite at Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho. 56.5 over/under Friday at noon on Fox.
Yeah, Oregon State broke their losing streak, beating Washington State last week, but this is a road game on the Smurf turf. Boise's prime for a college football playoff spot. Let's go Broncos here to win and cover.
This is newly crowned Pac-2 champion Oregon State, as they did win the only conference game last week. And I'm on Oregon State here. I think this is too many points. They're too good of a team. I understand it's at Boise State, but Boise has been playing a lot of close games lately. And Oregon State's a very good team. And weather-wise, I'm sure we're probably going to be all over the place this weekend with weather. So I think we're going to get some real interesting games. I do like Oregon State to keep this closer than 20.5, though. Oklahoma State is going on the road to number 23, Colorado. Colorado is a 17-point favorite at Folsom Field in Boulder. 65.5 over/under Friday at noon on ABC.
Yeah, crazy to think about this. Oklahoma State is potentially about to finish the season without a win in the Big 12 this year. Colorado's coming off a pretty bad loss against a hot Kansas team. They're going to be looking to make some noise here. I'm going to go Colorado to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm actually on Colorado also. Like we just said, Oklahoma State is just they've given up. Like there's no hope in that team at all. And I still really wonder if Gundy's done. Like I mean, after this game, I think we're going to find out, but I would be shocked if Gundy's back the way that they've been this year. We got the Egg Bowl. I hate that the Egg Bowl should never be in daylight. I don't understand why we're playing this at 3:30. This is part of the stupidity of college football scheduling. Mississippi State's going on the road to number 15, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 26-point favorite at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. 61.5 over under Friday at 3:30 on ABC.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant spread for the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss disappointing loss last week. Mississippi State hasn't lost a game when they're a 20-point plus underdog. So I'm rooting for my Rebels here, but I'm going to go with the Bulldogs to keep this game close enough.
Yeah, I'm going to say this quite a few times today. This is way too big for this rivalry game. I will be taking Mississippi State plus the 26. Georgia Tech is going on the road to number 6, Georgia. Georgia's a 19.5-point favorite at Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. 53.5 over under Friday at 7:30 on ABC.
Yeah, it sucks because right now Georgia Tech kind of has to run with the 2 QB system, right? Because Haynes King's shoulder is not what it is. So for that reason, I'm going to go Georgia here at home to win and cover.
Something a little different here. Georgia's already locked into the conference championship. This game doesn't truly mean a whole lot. And I think 19.5 is a lot. Georgia hasn't exactly been playing that well. So I'm going to take Georgia Tech to keep it close. I'm taking them plus the 19.5. Michigan's going on the road to number 2, Ohio State. Ohio State's a 21-point favorite at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. 42.5 over under Saturday at noon on Fox.
Yeah, I know Michigan's in a down year, but this is still a huge spread for the game. I think the Buckeyes break the losing streak here, but I don't like the spread. This is just another one of those rivalry games where they've got this too far apart. So I'm going to take Michigan in the points.
Yeah, this is actually the one that I'm not saying that. This is the one I'm on Ohio State minus 21. I just think at this point, they have to, Day has to make a statement here. Michigan he came out and said some shit about how like this is as bad as his family dying. Like he literally had some press conference or some interview and he was like, yeah, I've had the darkest days of my life the last few years and I compare it to when my dad died. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I hate Ryan Day. He's such an asshole. But I think they do cover the 21 here. Number 7, Tennessee is a 10.5-point favorite going on the road to our favorite Vanderbilt for the last time this year. We'll be talking about Diego, the Pisser, Pavia, First Bank Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. 48.5 over under Saturday at noon on ABC.
Are they not bowl eligible? Vandy's bowl eligible, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, bowl games. You know how we feel about those.
We got one more game with the Pisser, though.
They'll be playing in the Gasparilla 34-inch fist bowl, so we'll be all right. It's
good God. Ideal spot here for the Pisser to step in and shock another team at home. But the Vols know they need to win here to make the playoff. I think they're going to get it done. So I'm going to go Rocky Top here to win and cover.
This is his farewell. I'm taking the Pisser. I want Vandy plus 10.5. Number 16, South Carolina is going on the road to number 12, Clemson. Clemson is a 2.5-point favorite at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. 49.5 over under Saturday at noon on ESPN. Some people are mentioning a potential play-in game here, which I still think there's no way possible, but I will let people, because we live in this idiotic state, make their comments, but I do not think it's going to matter.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to matter either. I do think it's a solid matchup for the Gamecocks. They're one of the hotter teams in the SEC right now. Their run game isn't a great matchup for a Clemson defense that's a little up and down. Point spread's close here for a reason. I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to go Gamecocks here plus the 2.5.
Yeah, I like Clemson at home in this one. Dabo's not going to want to lose to South Carolina. They did actually come out today with an announcement that they are actually going to start actually thinking about putting money towards NIL, which shocked me. Maybe they're starting to get with the times.
I wonder why.
Yeah, who could guess why? But I do feel like Clemson's still the better team. On that home field, you take out playing a game in Columbia is much different than playing a game in Clemson. Clemson's going to have the home environment. Not nearly as crazy it is in Columbia, but that environment will be enough. And it's a noon game. Again, I don't like these games at noon. Like, put these games at night. I just don't get it. But I like Clemson minus 2.5 here. UTSA is going on the road number 25, Army. Army's a 7-point favorite at Michie Stadium in West Point, New York. 54.5 over under Saturday at noon on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Army's trying to shake off that embarrassing loss to Notre Dame. UTSA is not a team to skip over either. They're putting up almost 50 a game in the last 3 weeks. McCown's been serviceable. I think Army's the better team here, but I think it may end up with whoever has the ball last. I'm going to take UTSA here in the points to keep this within a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm actually on Army -7. I just have a feeling that we're going to get some real shitty weather games this weekend, and I feel like this will probably be one of them. And the way Army plays offense and taking guys from Texas outside into the weather, I kind of like Army in this one just to kind of drag it out on the ground and beat them. Number 22, Illinois is a 7.5-point favorite going on the road to Northwestern at Lanny and Sharon Martin Stadium. Great name. Evanston, Illinois, 44.5 over under Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, Northwestern's been getting their ass kicked here the past couple weeks. This was a tight game last year that Northwestern actually won, but I think this is a different Illinois team, so I'm going to go Illini here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Illinois also. Last week they looked like shit against Rutgers, but they still managed to come out and win at the end. But I just don't think Northwestern's good at all. But again, this is a potential really bad weather game, so that might keep it close. But I do like Illinois. Maryland's going on the road to number 4, Penn State. Penn State's 25.5-point favorite at Beaver Stadium, University Park, Pennsylvania. 50.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network.
Terps have lost 4 straight, but outside of the random Northwestern game, they've been keeping teams within 3 scores, and that includes Oregon. I think Penn State gets the W here, but I'm going to take the Terps in the points to keep it close enough.
Going with Maryland here. I'm actually on Penn State at home. I'm not big on this team, but I just don't think Maryland's very good. Every time Maryland's played a good team, they've pretty much gotten blown out. So I'm on Maryland or Penn State minus the 25.5. Number 5, Notre Dame is a 7.5-point favorite going on the road to USC at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, Los Angeles, California. 51.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on CBS. A little interesting note here: 6 FBS teams have led in the game in every fourth quarter this season. USC's one of them. USC has 5 losses. The other 5 teams have 5 losses combined. That's a crazy stat for poor late game management.
Jesus. Well, not a good matchup for USC because Notre Dame's been hot as of late, dominating in the turnover battle. They've been covering spreads. This would be the perfect end of the season for USC to ruin playoff chances for Notre Dame, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep pace with the Irish. So I'm going to take Notre Dame here to win and cover.
Yeah, I don't understand why this is a 12:30 local start in LA, but I'm on USC plus the 7.5. I think they can keep it close. They're one of the few teams Notre Dame's play that actually has the athletes that can hang with them. It's just more, are we actually going to see them fulfill what they've needed to do? I will say USC's offense, once Jaden Mayava has been playing, they're a much different team on offense, and they've been very good. So I actually kind of like USC in this one. I'd love to see them pull the upset completely, but I think they will cover. Auburn's going on the road to number 13, Alabama. Alabama's an 11.5-point favorite at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. 52.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on ABC for the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, interesting Iron Bowl. Auburn's been playing well the past couple of weeks. Bama's been up and down. I think Bama gets the win here, but I think the Tigers can keep it within 10, so I'm going to take Auburn in the points.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Bama minus 11.5. I just hope that I just want to see them come back to life. Jaden Milroe last week was just ass. He was awful. You would have to think in a rivalry game, they're at least in Tuscaloosa. If this game was at Jordan-Hare, it'd be, I think, a little bit of a different story. But I do like Bama to cover at home. We talked about this one a little earlier. Number 8, Miami is an 11-point favorite going on the road to Syracuse at the JMA Wireless Dome, a.k.a. the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York. 67.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN.
67.5, but I don't think it's crazy to say the over is going to happen in this game. I think both these teams are going to put up huge numbers. Orange have an opportunity to try and play spoiler a little bit here. I'm not sure who gets the W, but I think Syracuse is going to keep this within 11, so I'm going to take Syracuse.
Yeah, I'm on Syracuse also. I think it's too many points, and man, if there's ever a letdown spot, Cam Ward's a turnover machine half the time. Mario Cristobal is a god-awful coach in situations. This just screams, how do we fuck this up? And Miami usually finds a way. Unfortunately, their fucking up would lead to Clemson getting in the conference championship, which sucks. But, Miami's never been to an ACC championship. Why change now? So I will be on Syracuse. Speaking of the ACC championship, Cal is going on the road to number 9, SMU. SMU's a 13.5-point favorite at Gerald J. Ford Stadium in Dallas, Texas. 56.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN2.
Yeah, SMU can't look too far ahead of the championship game here because this Cal team has been playing teams close, and they're a significant plus margin in the turnover ratio. So SMU is going to have to be careful here, but I'm going to take them to win and cover.
I'm on SMU also. I think they're just keeping it rolling. Cal's been kind of a very hit-miss team this year, but I do like SMU to win this one and continue their run to the college football playoff. Number 14, Arizona State is a 9.5-point favorite going on the road to Arizona. Arizona Stadium, Tucson, Arizona, 53.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on Fox.
Arizona. Arizona State clinched the spot in the Big 12 title game. They've been hot lately. I think they get the job done here in Tucson, so I'm going to go Dilly Boys to win and cover.
Yeah. Arizona's one of those teams that has been really disappointing to me this year. Like, I love this team. I love Noah Fafita. Tetairoa McMillan is, in my opinion, the best receiver in college football. It's just unfortunate the way that they've been playing. They haven't quite lived up to what I thought they were going to. I know obviously they had a coaching change, but if there ever was a time to play spoiler, it's now. But man, Arizona State's just playing too well. I think I've got to pick Arizona State to cover. I know 9.5 seems kind of like a lot for this game, but I'm going to take Arizona State. Arkansas is going on the road to number 24, Missouri. Missouri's a 3.5-point favorite at Memorial Stadium in Columbia, Missouri. 54.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on the SEC Network.
Yeah, a bit of a tough season for the Tigers considering expectations going into the year. I know they've been bit by an injury bug a little bit, but Cook and Noel are both looking good. This being a home game, I think it gives it a little extra juice. I'm going to go Mizzou here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Missouri to cover this one also. I just don't think Arkansas is that good, especially on the road. And Missouri, it's some of the guy, Luther Burden, this will be his last home game. I mean, obviously, he's going to want to put on a show. I just think Missouri's way better than Arkansas. The old Oaken bucket. Purdue is going on the road to number 10, IU. IU's a 28.5-point favorite at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. 56.5 over-under Saturday at 7. There's only one network this one could be on, and it's the one for fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for the kids in Bloomington because Sig's going to run it up on this one. This is going to get ugly quick. I'm going IU to win and cover easily.
I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going Purdue.
What?
I think 28.5 is too much. Like, I know Purdue sucks, but you would think that this is the game where they're just going to throw out any shit that they have in the playbook. Their coaching staff's probably getting fired. 28.5 seems like too much for me. So I'm actually going to take Purdue and hope IU only wins by 28. Washington's going on the road to number 1, Oregon. Oregon's a 19.5-point favorite at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. 50.5 over-under Saturday at 7:30 on NBC. If we remember last year, Washington beat Oregon twice, the regular season and the playoff. You would have to think, with the motivator that Dan Lanning is, they didn't play last week. I can only imagine what kind of shit is being. I can't wait for the documentary on this game they release after this weekend.
Yeah, Ducks having a week to prepare. Dan Lanning never beating this team before. This is going to be a fun game to watch if you're an Oregon fan. I'm going Ducks here to win and cover easily.
Yeah, Washington has been playing better of late, but this could not be a worse situation. Oregon, Lanning's been on fire with his motivation this year, and I just can only imagine what I truly cannot wait for Sunday when they release the video from this game, because it's going to be incredible. Oregon minus 19.5 to me is one of the safer picks this weekend. Number 3, Texas is a 6-point favorite going on the road to number 20, Texas A&M at Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. 48.5 over-under Saturday at 7:30 on ABC.
Yeah, so the last time these two teams played, it was Colt McCoy versus Ryan Tannehill, 2011. A&M coming off a heartbreaker loss to Auburn in overtime last week. Aggies haven't lost at home since the Notre Dame game. Ewers is battling a little bit of an ankle. Night game. I'm going Yell Leaders here plus the points to get the outright win. I think they're going to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's listened to this show, my pick's been made since the preseason.
Now let's go ahead and do that yell together. Pass it back, Ags. Hump it, Ags. 1, 2, 3. Hey.
All right, we're not dealing with all of it, but
the back leg slap kicks me every time.
The whole thing is incredible. But yeah, obviously my pick, if anyone's listened, Texas A&M, I did pick them to make the playoffs at the beginning of this year. I picked them to win the SEC championship. So there's only one way they can get started on that, and that is to beat Texas and go in their way to beating Georgia next week. Farmageddon, one of the better rivalry names in college football. Kansas State is going on the road to number 17, Iowa State. Iowa State's a 3-point favorite at Jack Trice Stadium and Ames, Iowa. 51.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on Fox. Little interesting note, this is the game that is going to start the college football season next year in Ireland. I don't know how we get Farmageddon in Ireland, but we are. What do you got?
There's a lot of field out there for them to be able to farm. And that's probably why. Kansas State's got to control the turnovers. If Avery Johnson protects the ball, they win. If he doesn't, they lose. Unfortunately for them, I think this Iowa State defense is just going to be a little bit too tough. So I'm going to go Cyclones here to win and cover and advance to the conference title game.
Yeah, I'm not sure Kansas State's going to be able to score too much on Iowa State. So I do like Iowa State to cover the 3 here and hopefully go to the conference championship game. Nevada is going on the road number 21, UNLV. UNLV is a 17.5-point favorite at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. 55.5 over under Saturday at 8 on the CBS Sports Network.
And Nevada's been skidding the past few weeks, and Hajj Malik Williams and UNLV has been playing pretty well this season. I think the Rebels get the W here. I just 17.5. I'm gonna go UNLV here. I think they're going to be able to get it done. It might be a little late to get that extra point there to get over 17, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I actually think UNLV will put on quite a performance in this one. Their offense is too good for Nevada. Nevada hasn't been that great this year at all. I do like Nevada or UNLV minus 17.5. Houston's going on the road number 19, BYU. BYU's a 13.5-point favorite at LaVell Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. 41.5 over under Saturday at 10:15 on ESPN.
Yeah, the problem for Houston is they can't score, so I'm going to go Storm and Mormons here to win and cover.
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, they have an offensive coordinator change. I don't think it's going to matter. Soker's wild for the last time this season in Provo. Splashing Mountain Dew everywhere, keg stands of soda. BYU minus 13.5, and I cannot wait. Hopefully somehow we get to talk about this team again this season, but I'm on BYU. That does wrap up the top 25. We're going to kick it into the Muncie six-pack, kicking it off with a game Friday at noon. Miami of Ohio is going on the road to Bowling Green. Bowling Green's a 2.5-point favorite at Dwight L. Perry Stadium in Bowling Green, Ohio. 41.5 over under Friday at noon on ESPNU.
Dwight L. Perry. That's an interesting name. This should be a good matchup between two solid offenses, but I think Bowling Green's going to have the edge late, so I'm going to go Falcons here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Bowling Green. That offense has just been rolling. I think it's a big deal that they're the home team in this game. I think winner of this does go to conference championship. I didn't really look up the max standings, but I know that they're both. I
think so.
Yeah, so I like what Bowling Green's been doing, so I'm going to stay with them. On a team not so good in the MAC, Ball State is going on the road to Ohio. Ohio's a 14.5-point favorite at Peden Stadium in Athens, Ohio. 52.5 over under Friday at noon on the CBS Sports Network.
Got to get the dig in. It's going to be a tough matchup for Ball State. Their rush defense has been inconsistent at best this year, and the Bobcats have one of the better rushing attacks in the MAC. I just don't think my card's going to be able to keep pace, so I'll take Ohio minus the points here to win and cover.
Yeah, Ball State's already have guys entering the portal. Khalil Kelly, as we've talked about a little bit on this show, entered the portal. One of their linemen entered the portal. Coaches are changing. It's not a good situation for Ball State, and Ohio's a very good team. I'm on Ohio minus 14.5. Liberty is a 3-point favorite going on the road to Sam Houston at Elliott T. Bauer Stadium. I wonder if Elliott T. Bauer knew Dwight L. Perry. I have to look up some stuff. I don't.
They're buddies. You know they are.
Probably industry partners with LT Smith also, which we'll get to in a minute. But,
and the Ball brothers up there at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Huntsville, Texas, 47.5 over under Friday at 3:30 on the CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, this is a tough game to pick here. Both teams are still fighting for a shot at the title game against Jacksonville State. If Liberty wins, they're in. If Sam Houston wins, they'll need Jacksonville State to beat Western Kentucky to secure their spot in the conference title game. Both teams are a bit unpredictable, but knowing the juice in this one, I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go Sam Houston here plus the points.
I'm on Sam Houston also. Liberty hasn't been that impressive to me this year. I mean, I know they've still been winning games, but Sam Houston's offense has been very good. I'm actually surprised at this over-under. It seems a little low to me, but I like Sam Houston to cover this. My boys, Fresno, coming off that huge win last week, helping out UNLV. Fresno is going on the road to UCLA. UCLA is a 9.5-point favorite at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. 46.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, the spread on this is a little surprising to me. I think Fresno State's a better team with better offense, to be honest with you. I'm taking your Bulldogs here plus the points to get an outright win.
Oh, an outright win. I'm not sure they're going to get an outright win. I do think they're going to keep this game very close, though. I like Fresno to go to UCLA and keep it close in the Rose Bowl. Jacksonville State is going on the road to Western Kentucky. The Tau team, Western Kentucky, is a 1.5-point favorite at Hutchins Industries LT Smith Stadium in Bowling Green, Kentucky. 60.5 over under Saturday at 4 on ESPNU.
Yeah, so this one could get interesting. We just talked about Liberty Sam Houston. If Jacksonville State's already clinched a spot, if Western Kentucky wins and Liberty loses, then they'll be the other team in, and these teams are going to meet next week in the conference championship. One of these teams is playing for more, so I'm going to go Tau team here to win and cover.
Oh, I'm actually going the other way. Give me Rich Rod and Jacksonville State. I just like what their offense has been doing. I think they can go pound for pound with Western Kentucky. This is going to be a shootout, though, very high scoring game. But I do like Jacksonville State to get the win. I just think they're a little bit of a better team this year. I don't want to talk about this one. Florida's a 14.5-point favorite going on the road to Florida State. Doak Campbell Stadium, Tallahassee, Florida. 45.5 over under Saturday at 7 on ESPN2.
Well, we just had to talk about Ball State, so you're going to have to deal with this one. Rough season for your Noles. I hope they find a way to play with some extra juice in this one to slow down what Florida's been doing recently. I just think Clagway is just going to be too much, so I'm going to go Gators here to win and cover.
Yeah, no one can really see this, but I have a little bit of support. I'll back up a little bit so you can see. We're repping the Florida State sweatshirt on this episode, but I can't do it. 14.5, I'll take Florida and DJ Lagway. I will say Luke Kromenhoek has shown signs of life. We played we played Charleston Southern, which I know is like the assiest of ass, worse than Kent State. But the young kids played pretty well. I just don't think it matters in this game. I don't think there's so much wrong going on in the program still that I don't think we can keep it that close. So I'll be on Florida minus 14.5. Our last regular season pick of the season. We've made it to the end. It's crazy to think about. Oklahoma is going on the road to LSU. LSU is a 6-point favorite at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 47.5 over under Saturday at 7 on ESPN.
Yeah, both these teams have had disappointing seasons, but LSU is the better team. They're at home. It's a night game. I'm going LSU here to win and cover.
Yeah, Oklahoma just had their national championship last week, beating Bama at home. Things are going to be a little different going on the road. Brian Kelly's trying to save anything he can possibly save at LSU. Even rumors of potentially losing his job. I don't think that will happen, but I mean, they did lose the number one recruit in the nation, Bryce Underwood, to Michigan. And I know a lot of people were pretty pissed off about that. But I do think Baton Rouge, Saturday night, closing out the season at home, I think you got to go LSU minus 6 here. All right. Lock of the week. What do you got?
I am locking in on IU over Purdue. Hoosiers will be playing pissed off, ready to make a statement over the Boilers for the first time in 5 years, so light the cig.
So from one of our former states that we lived in's rivalry to our new state that we live in's rivalry, I am on Clemson minus 2.5 at home versus South Carolina as my lock of the week. Underdog of the week.
We just talked about it. I'm taking South Carolina over Clemson. Gamecocks have been hot lately. I think they go into Death Valley here and cause some ruckus. So let's go Gamecocks over Clemson.
I don't believe in that. So you've got a dog. I've got a lock. It'll be a nice battle there to end the season. My dog. I'm on Coach Elko and Texas A&M plus 184. I've got a lot of future bets of plus money with A&M. Might as well throw in another one. Give me them to beat Texas. Give me them to win the national or not win the national championship. Give me them to win the SEC championship. And give me them to make the playoff. So number 20, Texas A&M winning at home as a plus 184 dog this week. That is going to wrap up the week 14 picks. It's absolutely crazy that this regular season's pretty much over at this point. It sucks, but we've made it through. It's crazy the amount of games we've picked again this year. It's fun. We will be back live here in just a few minutes with an NFL episode as we follow up on our week 13 NFL, I believe is what's coming up.
Yep.
So for Reese Downing, I'm Jacob Workman. Like, share, subscribe, leave us comments. Just do whatever you can do to spread the word. And we will see you guys soon. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.